training. Possibly the hardest thing to train your dog, but also the most important thing to train your dog. Am I wrong? If you're looking for a comprehensive training video on how to potty train your dog, look no further. This is the video for you. Hi guys, my name's Yannicka. I'm from Canada, and today my promise to you is to deliver an easy to digest video about potty training. If you're into that, please tip me by subscribing me today, and that'll help me to continue to make useful videos for you. Okay guys, lesson number 1. Let's address the elephant in the room. Potty training your dog is so important because ultimately this is going to determine how harmoniously you guys live together. Let's not lie. If your dog is pottying in the house, that's probably not going to make you happy. That's going to make you stressed. That's going to make you frustrated. Your dog's going to pick up on that. It's going to get in the way of the harmony in the home. This training, or lack thereof, can lead to bad behaviors that are going to be possibly unpleasant for you and possibly unpleasant for other people in the home. And that puts the dog at risk, right? Because if you or your family members are not happy with the dog, then that might lead to you having to surrender the dog or feeling that you have to surrender the dog. And we don't want that, right? So potty training is really one of those first things that you have to take very seriously. So guys, let's normalize that it's really important when you get a dog that you consider the commitment that's required in order to end up in a harmonious situation. And one of those things is taking training seriously, but most importantly, the basic training like potty training. All right, lesson number 1. Let's talk about the keys to success, the things you're gonna need to get to the other side. The first thing is you need a consistent schedule, okay? A routine. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. But really what we're saying here is to establish a routine that's realistic and that you can actually sustain over time. When you're potty training, consistency is one of the most important things you need to do. Because dogs are really routine animals, they're going to learn that schedule and they're going to expect you to adhere to the schedule once you start it. So once you establish that schedule, guys, try to take it seriously, try to respect it, do what you got to do. Set alarms on your phone, put it down your calendar, whatever you have to do. But try your best to follow the schedule that you set. And we're going to talk a little bit more later about how to determine that schedule. Second thing that you're going to need is time, okay? Training your dog anything takes time, but potty training especially, I would say is realistic. If you're committed and you give it your 100% effort, you can expect your dog to be relatively clean in your house after 4 to 6 weeks. So that means that for 4 to 6 weeks, right, that schedule that we're going to establish should be followed and respected. And that's really hard to do if you have a really busy life, or if you have to leave to go to work, or if you have weird kind of work hours. My personal recommendation, if you ever do get a puppy, is to try to plan it around some time off. I know that's really hard to come by for a lot of people, but getting a dog is a commitment. Luckily, when I got Shiloh, it was during the COVID time and I was working from home. So it was really easy for me every hour, every 2 hours to kind of slip outside, take him for a quick pee and then come back in. So before you make this huge decision of getting a dog, make sure you consider your lifestyle and you determine whether or not you actually have the time to do this preliminary training. Because what might happen is if you prioritize other things and not this, then you're skipping a very vital step. The third thing is general knowledge about your dog's bladder size. Now, depending on your dog's breed or size or age, it's important to kind of know relatively how big their bladder is and what is actually realistic for you to expect for them at that size and age. When I first got Shiloh, he was about 8 to 10 weeks. I started potty training with him right away, and I kind of wanted to speed up the process. So I made the increment much shorter, the schedule much shorter. I would take him out once every hour, but that might be different for you. Maybe given the size of your dog and their age, they may be able to hold it up for up to 2 hours. But make sure you do a little bit of research on the size of your dog's bladder and how long is actually realistic for you to expect. And that will be your kind of your baseline, your starting line of determining that schedule. The fourth thing you're going to need is just a little bit of attentiveness. You're going to need to listen to your dog's cues. And what I mean by that is you're going to want to take note and recognize those little things that they do that might signal that they have to go. Whether that's not being able to sleep, whether that's kind of venturing into the next room, or sniffing around mysteriously in a corner. You need to learn these cues so that you can stop them before they go. The fifth thing you're going to need is supervision. Okay, that kind of ties in with listening to your dog's cues. And what I mean by supervision is when they're young, very especially, or even if it's a dog that is older but is a new dog to you and is not house trained, you need to supervise that dog, okay? However possible, when you're home, it's best that you limit access to other areas which you cannot supervise in your home. So that means that ideally you should be able to see your dog within eyesight at all times within your home. To do this, you might need to barricade certain areas, close doors, put up a gate, whatever you have to do. And the purpose of this is so that you can monitor and listen to their cues at all times, and they don't have the chance to kind of sneak into the next room and do a potty out of your eyesight. Okay, the sixth thing, and what I call the cheat code, which really worked for me, and I swear I'm going to use on every other dog going forward, is a crate. Now, there's lots of strategies and techniques and methods that people use to train their dog, to potty train their dog. But for me, what I recommend is you need to use crate training at night. And I'm going to explain all of that. Okay, so let's talk about this crate. First of all, you're going to want to get a crate that kind of looks like this. Okay, and the size of the crate really matters. You want to get a crate that's big enough for your dog to stand in, turn around, possibly stretch, do some circles in there, but not quite big enough for them to have kind of a living room and a kitchen and a bedroom in there. It should not be that big. It should be just big enough for them to be comfortable in, to lie down and sleep in, and that's it. And what we're going to do is use this crate only at nighttime. What you do during the day with your crate, we can talk about that during another video, but for this video and potty training purposes, we're going to use that crate for nighttime. So let's talk about the logic of the crate. The logic of the crate basically is to discourage them from pottying in their bed at nighttime. Naturally, dogs don't want to pee where they sleep. So you want to make it comfortable in there. If they like blankets or if they like having a little bed, put their little bed in there, put their little blanket, whatever comforting item that you think they might appreciate. And you want to position that crate somewhere within eyesight of your bed so that when you're sleeping, if you ever do wake up, you can kind of peek at them and make sure that you kind of see how they're doing and if they're comfortable or experiencing any distress. Basically, what the crate is doing is your supervision job at night while you're sleeping. Because you're sleeping and you can't supervise them and stop them from pottying in the home, basically what the crate is doing is you're kind of psychologically encouraging them to not potty because they're in this very comfortable bed sleeping area. That's why it's really important to get a crate that is the right size, because if your dog feels that they can go to the other side of the crate and have a little loo and then go right back to sleep on the other side of the crate, then your crate is too big. Now, before I move on, I want to mention that it's really important to train your dog to feel comfortable in the crate before we move on to this phase. So you have to do a few extra steps before, which shouldn't take very long, more than a day or two, I would say. What you want to do is take some time to research how to acclimate your dog to a crate and get them to go inside slowly or touch it or be near it and feel okay and comfortable with that crate before you start introducing it. Okay, moving on to the strategy lesson. So what we're going to do is during the day, we're going to have our established schedule, whatever that is, every hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, depending on the size of your dog. Right before bed, you're going to make sure that you take your dog out for a potty, give them enough time to do their business, maybe exercise them a little bit so that they're not restless at nighttime in their crate. And we're also going to remove the water 2 to 3 hours before bed. This is safe for dogs over 10 to 8 weeks. Just make sure you do a little research to make sure that it's okay for your pup. But usually after 8 to 10 weeks, it's safe to restrict water overnight, which is going to help them control their bladder and hold it in until morning. When Shiloh was really young, I kept his crate really close to the bed, and slowly as he got older, I started moving the crate further away. But basically, when they're young, they do feel this kind of pack mentality and like to feel close to their owners, and you're also trying to establish a bond early on. So I don't discourage people at all from putting the crate as close as possible to the bed and then slowly moving it further and further away to encourage autonomy. One advantage of having the crate really close to the bed, especially when they're really young, is that you can access it really quickly from your bed. So if they ever start whining or kind of look uncomfortable, you can kind of just stick your hand in there and give them a little gentle comfort in the middle of the night to encourage them back to sleep. One thing about crate training though, you do want to establish some boundaries. So that means that you want to communicate to your dog that morning is morning time, and when it is morning time, I will take you out, I promise. But when it's nighttime, it's nighttime. It's time to sleep, it's time to rest. We're not gonna play, we're not gonna have a good time, we're not gonna party in the crate. The crate is for relaxing and for bedtime. Now, morning time, right? We all love a good sleep in, but unfortunately, you got a dog and you made a commitment. So that means that as soon as you wake up, remember, put yourself in the dog's shoes. The poor thing has been sleeping in there all night. They've probably been holding their bladder. They probably really need to go. So the first thing you should be doing is taking your dog out for a potty. Whether or not you brush your teeth before that is your business, but my recommendation is that you do it right away. Guys, I promise you, if you do things as soon as possible and on schedule, the sooner you'll get to the other side of having a clean dog. So however serious you want to take this is really up to you, but just remember that. Now, if you have a small dog that you can actually carry, what I recommend that really worked for me is as soon as you wake up and you're ready to take your dog out, pick them up. And what I mean by that is carry them all the way outside, wherever that is. And the reason that is it kind of reduces the opportunity for them to do a potty accidentally on the way out, which could happen. And if you have a bigger dog that you can't pick up, these are things that could possibly happen, which is why I try to say, take them out as soon as possible when you wake up. But that is one hack, so to speak, that you can do, that you can use if you have a small dog or a dog that you can actually carry. We live in an apartment, and when Shiloh was little, we had to put him on a leash, walk down the hall, take the elevator, and exit the building, which was a bit of a trek, right? So if you're a poor little puppy with a full bladder, you might have a little mistake in the elevator, which has happened in the past. So that's why I recommend this pickup trick. So you've woken up and you've taken your dog outside. As soon as your dog goes potty, I want you to reward them as soon as possible. Obviously, let them finish their potty. Don't interrupt it. But as soon as they're done, I want you to give them a treat and some positive reinforcement to encourage them to enjoy doing their potty outside. Now, if you remember from my past video about how to train your dog to sit, positive reinforcement is a really powerful tool. If your dog learns to associate good feelings with a particular action, they're more prone to repeat that action. So for the first couple of months that you have your dog and you're doing this potty training, remember, every potty outside is a moment of celebration. So the next lesson is what to do during the day. And we've touched on this a little bit before. So now it's daytime, you did your morning potty, you made it through the night. Now the next step is to make sure that you respect the schedule, okay? So whatever that schedule is, every hour, every 2 hours, make sure you follow it as much as possible. Make sure you supervise your dog to monitor their cues. And if at any point you detect that they may have to go, even before the schedule, my recommendation for you is to take them out at that moment. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my God, this sounds like a lot of work, it sounds like a lot of commitment, but that's kind of the truth of the reality. If you want to get to the other side sooner, then being as firm on the schedule as possible will get you there. If you need to be more relaxed because of your lifestyle or medical issues or whatever it is, that's completely fine. Just note that it may take a little bit longer to instill that habit. Okay, so let's talk about something really important, which is what to do when accidents do happen in the home. And let's be real, if you're getting a puppy or a dog that is not potty trained, an accident will happen. It's impossible to expect that it won't happen. So if at any moment you witness your dog having a little potty in the house, I want you to interrupt that potty as soon as you see it. And that's why it's really important for you to be supervising and limiting their access to other rooms. When you're interrupting the potty, I want you to give a firm, calm command. Something like no, stop. As long as you're calm and you're firm and you take them out right away. Something really important that I want to convey in this video is that frustration is not allowed. I know that you're going to want to feel it. It's tempting to feel the frustration, especially when they do that potty in the house and you're like, what the heck, I just took you out. But the important thing is that you're trying to build a relationship with their dog and you're trying to teach them something new. Frustration's never going to be a helpful tool when you're training your dog. What it does is it actually gives them anxiety, makes them think that you're unpredictable, and may actually discourage them from following your commands. So the best thing you can do is just firmly interrupt the bad behavior that you're seeing, take them outside right away, and reward them as soon as they finish the potty or do a potty outside. Over time, they're going to learn that doing a potty inside is not permitted and doing it outside is something to be celebrated. It's really important to recognize that accidents are a part of the journey. If you have carpets or a bed or something that you really don't want your dog to have an accident on, then it's really important that you restrict access to those rooms or to those pieces of furniture. When you get a dog or a puppy, this is something that you kind of have to accept in the early stages. So when I got Shiloh, I remember I had this nice white carpet in the living room, and I made sure to kind of roll that up for about 4 months. Sure, your house might not look as nice, or they won't be able to sleep on the bed for a few months, but guess what? After that, you'll have a lifetime of bliss together. Short-term pain, long-term gain. All right, so let's do a summary of what we learned today. You're gonna need patience, you're gonna need a crate, you're gonna need to supervise, you're gonna need some time, a few weeks, you're gonna need some commitment. So get a crate, one that fits just right. Teach them to get comfortable in the crate and to do their nighttime in the crate. When you wake up, take them out right away. Reward potties outside. And during the day, make sure to respect the potty schedule. If you do all of these things, I promise you, your dog can be relatively clean in 4 to 6 weeks. I know a lot of people like to get pee pads for their dog and kind of allow them to potty in a particular area of the house on pee pads. But my recommendation is to avoid that wherever possible, because what you're doing is actually allowing them to potty inside the fortress of your home. And what you really want to do from the onset is discourage that. So I think that although it may be useful and convenient, it is confusing to your dog. Dogs are very scent oriented and they like to categorize what to do in certain areas. If they start to potty in a corner, perhaps on the pee pad, even after you've cleaned that area or removed the pee pads, they will forever remember that scent and the fact that you let them potty there, which is confusing. So guys, that's my quick guide on how to potty train your dog. Thank you guys so much for listening today. If you like this video, please tip me by subscribing so I can continue to make cool videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Shiloh, you like potty training?